at one of the most historic tracks on the F1 calendar. We are here for round 3 of the PSGL F1 Championship, the British Grand Prix. And well, after 2 rounds of the season, Game of the Best has really left a mark on the championship so far with a podium and a race win at China last week. And here at this particular circuit, we are going to see 26 laps of fantastic action around this 5.8km circuit built on the site of an old RAF airfield. We've been racing here since 1950 in various forms, but this is the modern version of the track. 18 corners, 2 DRS zones, plenty of overtaking action. We've had some bright classics here, including that awesome race in season 18 where Ollie D and Cliffy had a great battle at the end. So today we have 3 tyre compounds. We have the hard tyres, mediums and soft compounds if it's a dry race, but the drivers may be favouring the mediums and softs for this particular race. And joining me in the commentary box, as ever, is none other than cticeDemon, your GT Sport and F4 commentator. Welcome to the commentary box once again, my friend.
Thank you for having me again. Glad to be here. How's everybody doing tonight?
Yeah, well, the lobby's gradually filling up. So your impressions on this circuit? You commentated on the F4 race last night. What's your sort of impression of it for this particular game?
It's a very beautiful circuit. Lots of high-speed areas for great overtaking opportunities. Some sections are a little tight, need a little more patience, but all in all, it's a great track to race on for, have exciting finishes. Yeah,
well, we're going to have a quick look at this particular circuit. One of my favourite circuits to race on. It's a real challenge for the drivers on these 3 sectors. So let's have a quick look then at this Silverstone circuit as the track guide loads up. So warm welcome to everyone who's joined the chat already. Slight hurried view into my voice because basically the entire OBS system that I had set up all crashed like 2 minutes before going live, so that wasn't ideal. So anyway, here's a lap of Silverstone then. It's a very short straight down to turn 1, and then into Abbey Corner, flat out on the fastest compounds, and especially if you get it set up, and then through Farm Curve, then turn 3 Village. Then we head up into one of the slower parts of the track, turn 4 for the loop, so keeping as tight apex as possible, and then keeping it straight, and then flying up turn 5, and then on to the Wellington Straight. This is very much territory from the old circuit. And then turn 6, Brooklyn, to look for the mark walls on the right hand side, judge your braking point, trying to get a tight apex there, not taking too much curve though, otherwise you ruin your traction. And then into the slowest corner on the track, Luffield, and then barreling down Woodcote, and then onto the old start-finish straight, and then starting perhaps the best section of the track, Cox 9. Be careful not to go wide here, otherwise you may risk some penalties during and after the race. And then the iconic Maggot, Beckett and Chapel, one of the greatest sections of track of any Formula 1 circuit on the calendar. And then out of Chapel, turn 14, onto the Hangar Straight, the second DRS zone. The speed trap just before turn 15 is Stowe. You can just see that black board correct. And then Stowe, an absolutely fantastic corner. We'll see some side-by-side action here, just as Ollie and Cliffy did a few seasons ago. And then finally, the final take of the track. 16, the Vale. Easy to lock up the tyres in that corner. Then through Club Corner, and that is a lap of the Silverstone circuit for tonight's PSGL F1 British Grand Prix. And just going back to you, Demon. In terms of Silverstone, you talked about it earlier, but what do you think the tyre strategy is going to be for this particular event tonight?
Actually, I think we'll see a lot of mixed strategies here, because a lot of people have been practicing with the hard tires, and some like it and some don't. But usually here, the soft to medium works pretty well. So depending on how far they could take the softs, will decide where they're going to go, whether medium or hard. Should be interesting to see.
Yes, indeed. I mean, some of the races I've seen, a lot of people favouring the soft medium strategy. A few drivers getting decent points though starting on the hards, but I do feel that in a full dry race we are going to see most people opting to start for the softs and then going on to the mediums to the end of the race. Haven't really seen a safety car in a while actually in any of the leagues, let alone PSGL F1. So let's have a quick look at the drivers standings as we wait for the lobby to load. So at the moment then, Game of the Best on 28 points with a 12-point advantage to the 7-time champion Big C. That fantastic battle between Game of the Best and Blizzard last week at China really lit up that Chinese Grand Prix. The reigning champion Lewis finally getting his season started with a podium at China. And then Ugi Azim, who finished on the podium in Australia, having a disappointing race in China despite getting pole position. The season 19 champion Ash Best in 6th place, KB Killer in 7th, CSR Abiodun 8th, Cliffy in 9th, and MichEmery in 10th, rounding up the top 10. Quick look at the Constructors' Championship. I don't have a graphic for that yet, unfortunately. I just didn't have the time to complete it. So at the moment, thanks to the efforts of GamingAlimonda and Sambamkid last week, Williams have leapfrogged McLaren into the lead of the Constructors' Championship. 33 points for Williams, 24 for McLaren, and then following them, a point behind is Toro Rosso, Blizzard, and KB Killer, who has showed some really good teamwork in qualifying last week at Silverstone. And then Lewis and AMS for Ferrari in 13 points, and then making up the top 5, Jack Lacey and Ugi Azim. But I have got some team news for you affecting Jack Lacey specifically. Jack Lacey has opted to take a sabbatical from PSGL F1. He has decided to take a break. So MichEmery gets a seat at Red Bull, and at Sauber, Woko has left the league. And my goodness, it is a wet qualifying session. Wow, Demon, I did not expect this. Absolutely fantastic. Britain. This is going to be our first wet running of the season, I do believe. We had fully dry sessions in the first 2 races, didn't we, Demon?
Yes, we did.
Yes, well, this could really mix up the grid for tonight's race. Just going back to what I mentioned about Sauber, Lico has been promoted back up to F1 and will join the Sauber team along with Leon. And Woko has gone back down to F2, having felt that he didn't quite have the pace for F1. Or maybe he wasn't free Mondays anymore. I couldn't remember what his reason was. Well, this changes everything, doesn't it, Matt? I mean, we were talking about, you know, the dry compounds, but don't forget, every race weekend you always have sets of intermediates and full wet tyres available. It looks like it's intermediate conditions to start with. Let's see what, yeah, they're all intermediate conditions. So I've not actually done any wet running at this particular track. I have done most of the tracks in this game, but not this one. So I don't really know what the times will be. So this is, everyone's going to be in the dark, including the grid. So we got 16 watching. Let's just have a quick look at the chat. So we got likes of J-Ray Bay, Game Freaker, fantastic win in F4 yesterday. Got King Hover from F7. Good to see you there. Who else is here? We got Ollie, Abiodun, of course, who will be competing tonight in PSGL F1. Nick Pine, who did make it in the end, so good to see he's out there. And Liquorblocks making his return to F1. Let's hope for better things. He had quite a crash-happy season in F1 last season, so hopefully he's come out of that a better driver. But from what I've seen so far in F1 2018, he is certainly improved in terms of his racecraft, so hopefully carries on from there. So Matt, wet session. I mean, you watch these guys practice quite a lot. I don't know if they did any wet running in practice, but who do you think might shine in the wet conditions?
The practice sessions that I was over to oversee, no wet times were set, so I don't know. I'd have to go with Big C. When it comes to rain, you need the experience to make sure you got the car going straight.
Indeed. Well, one of the trickier elements of wet conditions, some of the drivers run no assists, so they will certainly face a bit more of a challenge than those running medium traction. Ash Best, though, in F1 2017 was absolutely brilliant in these wet conditions. So let's see if he's got that sort of similar pace that he had before. I mean, there were 2 wet races in F1 2017 at Belgium, and Ash Best dominated both of them. But incidentally, Lewis, the reigning champion, is actually on for a hat-trick of wins here at Silverstone. He's won the last 2 that PSGL F1 have hosted. So we'll have a quick look at the past winners of this particular track as we go on board with Ash Best for a lap of the circuit, and we'll see what the conditions are like. So in terms of previous race winners, some familiar names on the Hall of Fame here for Silverstone. So Iran, a 2-time winner of this particular race, who's racing in F2 tonight. Remco Vengeance, a former PSGL F1 champion, a 3-time winner here. And Big C, though, the most successful driver here at Silverstone. 5 times a winner, 4 times in a row between seasons 12 and 15. Ali Kidd, a familiar name for those veterans of PSGL. He won here back in season 16. We didn't have a race here in season 17. And Ollie D winning that classic race in season 18. I cannot recommend you enough. Go into my channel and watch that race from season 18, which is in one of the PSGL F1 playlists, incidentally, on my channel, because it's certainly one of the best races I've ever seen and covered. And then, as I mentioned, Lewis W03 winning the last two. And last season, particularly impressive, Matt, because he did it with a default setup from the back of the grid.
Oh, wow. Yeah, he was actually telling me that story last night when we were in a party together. Pretty impressive with the default setup here.
Yes, indeed. So let's get the times up. So Ash Bears heading through the end of Maggots and Beckett's and Chapel, and Big C setting an early pace of a 1:39.278. So it looks like the wet time here will be somewhere in the high 30s. As Ash Bears runs really wide out of Stowe, and Blizzard though blitzes Big C's early time of a 1:38.395. Now, the one thing about conditions like this in qualifying is a longer session, so we will get the potential for the rain to get harder or to dry up before the end of the session, much more than we got in the 12-minute sessions in F1 2017. And apparently it is also wet in Formula 2 as well, so both grids facing a very new challenge, so we could get some notable casualties with these conditions, but we don't know what the conditions are for the rain yet. So Ash Best only doing a 1:39.717, so slower than his teammate. So Blizzard, oh look at that, Lewis, a 1:37.765. Matt, do you think that's an indication that maybe the rain is starting to ease off, or is it just sheer pace that we're seeing from Lewis early on?
I'm not exactly sure. Some guys might be running a wet setup in qualifying, and some might be running a dry, like if it's going to be a dry race.
Yes,
could be setup.
That is a good point, Matt. Some of these times might not be representative if it's a dry race and they're running dry setups. Some might be running a more conservative setup to get track position. So this is a really intriguing situation. So the kind of typical grid we might see may not be quite as it is. So let's have a look at Game of the Best then. Your championship leader, a 12-point advantage over his nearest rival, Big C. It's been a fantastic return to PSGL F1 so far for Matt, hasn't it?
Oh, for sure. He's had the pace in both the races so far. He just had a costly penalty at Australia.
Yes, and in terms of his wet weather pace, I always felt in previous seasons when I saw him compete, he was a really mixed bag. He'd either be like Schumacher in '96 at Barcelona, or he'd be like Maldonado at any time it rained. So yeah, it was very inconsistent in the rain, I felt he was. So we'll see what he can do now. So yellows in all three sectors, so drivers are either slowing down or just struggling everywhere at the track. It's not an easy track in the dry, let alone in the rain. So let's see what Game of the Best can do as he heads towards the end of Sector 2. He's 3/10 up. I don't know if that's 3/10 up on his own time. Well, it must be the actual time, because he hasn't set a time yet. And a warm welcome to those further people who have joined the chat. I see the likes of Jamie. Yeah, good to see the man who seems to dominate every GT Sport race I see him in. And then we have Simo, of course, who's looking to find a bit more form in F4 at the moment. And Game of the Best with a 1:37.604. So I mentioned his inconsistency in wet running, but no such problems here. He's gone about a tenth of a second quicker than the reigning champion Lewis W03. MaxiLuca in third, KB Killer and Blizzard, two Toro Rossos, fourth and fifth. Then Brain, Ash Best, AMS, Cherry2Pie and MichEmery. Now, one of the interesting elements of a wet qualifying session always, Matt, is the fact that unlike a dry run, you can actually fuel a bit longer, so you can do multiple runs, because tyre wear on these kind of tyres is never really going to be an issue over a few laps. I don't know if you've ever competed in a wet qualifying session yourself, Matt, but what is sort of the approach you take to it, or do you just stay in the pit lane the whole time?
Well, for my career in PSGL, I have never left the pit lane during qualifying, so I wouldn't have any expression on that.
I guess whichever team you're competing for has lots of nice home comforts, which means you just don't want to go on the track. I can respect that, and actually, often starting from the back is the best place to be, given what we often see in some of the lower leagues on lap 1. So I can definitely see where you're coming from there. So let's get the intervals up just to see what the gaps are. So yeah, pretty tight in the top 5, less than 0.4 of a second as we just go over 9.5 minutes of a session. So far, is there anyone you feel, Matt, who maybe is underperforming a little bit in terms of their grid position?
I'd say Lickle. I think that's quite slow for him usually. He usually has the pace, so I think he made a mistake on that lap. And yeah. Oogie's usually up at the front too.
Yes, Oogie Azim is usually a really good qualifier, but at the moment didn't quite find the pace. But Sambamkid, Ugizim, little blocks coming out on outlaps, as is Lewis. What about AMS? AMS has actually moved into second position, and well, hang on a minute.
And Gamer has no time for me anymore. 19th.
I wonder. There is a glitch apparently where if you invalidate your lap, it will appear on the board or something like that. So hopefully that isn't the case. So at the moment, his time definitely appeared on the board. We saw it. So I don't know what's going on with that. Maybe it's a glitch with timing screens. But from what we can see, it's a Ferrari 1-2 at the moment. AMS in second, just behind his teammate, with MaxiLuca in third. Actually, just have a check, Matt. Have a look at game and see if he did invalidate his first run. That would explain why he's suddenly gone back down to 19th. As AMS re-enters the pit lane. Who else is out there? Blizzard. Blizzard's on a run. Looks like he could well be.
Yeah, he did invalidate the last lap he did.
Okay, yeah, that explains a lot then. So let's have a look at Lickle Blocks then. His return to PSGL F1 might be controversial to some who raced with him last season, and let's just say he was a little bit too aggressive at times, but he's back, and well, I'm not sure how much you've watched of Lickle in F2 and maybe other leagues, but do you think he's sort of matured a little bit as a driver since his last PSGL F1 race last season?
Yeah, he's a bit less erratic. He's more patient now. Instead of diving the car at any time, he'll wait for the actual corner, like a passing corner instead of any corner. So hopefully he applies that today and he has a good race.
Well, according to Nick Pine, well, MichEmery sets a 1:37.064, and actually the rain does look a bit lighter than it did earlier. So maybe this is, oh no, and there goes Blizzard with a. It's quite, yeah, this is going to be very hard to keep track of. If the track keeps drying, the times are going to get faster and faster. So this is going to be really hard to keep track of. So Blizzard at the moment then in provisional pole. Gamer has gone back up to third. So his time's reappeared on the board. So Charlie Whiting, a bit of sympathy for him. So yep, there you go, you're back on the ball. So yeah, slightly confusing timing screens. So I do apologise. Lewis W03 then, a 1:36.535. Just over 0.2 of a second. So the Ferrari driver on the pace at the moment, and Lickle Blocks oversteer through Maggots and Beckett's, but just about keeps it controlled. So good car control from Lickle Blocks. Going to keep on board with the Sauber driver just to see how he deals with Stowe, which in the rain is very tricky. So Lickle goes down to 5th gear, drifts a little wide off the line, but I don't think he would have lost too much time there. So here they go then into the final section at the Vale. A few Sauber fans in the packed grandstands. And then crossing the line, Lickle's first, and he improves up to 5th. So very respectable time from the Sauber driver for the time being. But there's a few cracks of blue sky from the clouds. So I think the rain might even stop by the end. I don't think we're going to get any dry running, but we could get some times, you know, into the 35s, maybe even faster than that, as the track dries out a little bit. And to answer your question, Jay, yes, he was in F2, but he's now back in F1. He swapped with Woko, who's gone back down to F2. So kind of a like-for-like swap, if you will, two quick drivers. But Lickle feels he's ready to return. But that's enough of Lickle for the time being. Blizzard on an in-lap, or maybe just an out-lap, just sorting stuff out. Is he returned to the pits? He is indeed. Lewis carries on, so Lewis crosses the line then, and he just misses out on an improvement actually. So, but he's still the man to beat for the time being. There's quite a lot of drivers out there on track. Anyone worth checking out at the moment, Matt?
I see CC's on a pretty fast lap, it looks like. Or he just started the lap, should I say?
Let's have a look at CCBRAIN then, the Mercedes driver. Cherry2Pie is out of the session. Is that a crash, or has he retired in the pit lane?
I am not sure. It won't let us look at it. The lobby might be a little broken because I see KB on pit road pointing sideways up there.
Might well be. So CCBRAIN, quite a slow lap so far. So I don't know if this is an in lap. He's just moved up to 5th position. Well, we'll keep an eye on him. Here comes MichEmery. And I'm not sure if this is a permanent seat now in F1, but he's been here since the beginning of the season as a reserve, so this is his 3rd race of the season, so it feels like he's a part of the F1 family already, so he's now in a Red Bull. So what we will see from him so far, it's been very Max Verstappen in the wet, currently in the top 4, so a good performance from MichEmery. We know his pace is really good. I do feel like that MichEmery could be, if he could put a run of form together, a contender for a race win sometime, maybe a few more. He's only got 6 points in the championship so far, so it doesn't really look like he's in title contention at the moment, but certainly he had that brilliant victory on his debut last season in PSGL F1. Then he had a disaster in the next race and we didn't see him again for the rest of the season. So, if he stays here for the whole season, I think he'll get quite a few good results. But, MaxiLuca, I think, is someone who's caught the eye today in qualifying, Matt. 3rd place at the moment for the Haas driver.
And not a bad lap at all.
No, not at all. But it's getting lighter. And I think that 1:36 from Lewis, I'd be surprised if that's the pole time. I think we're going to see a few more quicker times here. Just over 3 minutes of this PSGL F1 qualifying session for the British Grand Prix here at Silverstone. And, one of the best tracks I hear to go to in terms of atmosphere and passion. Of course, some great British drivers have won here. The likes of Nigel Mansell, Graham Hill, his son Damon Hill in '94. And in more recent times, Lewis Hamilton has made this track his own, winning here virtually every year, except for this year, of course, where Sebastian Vettel won what was, in my opinion, the best race of the season in terms of, pure racing so far. I mean, that section where the 2 Ferraris and Mercedes were nose to tail was absolutely incredible. Like, one of the best races of the year for sure.
Ooh.
But personally, my favourite British Grand Prix was, and MaxiLuca getting all out of shape on the straight, and that's going to ruin his time, but hopefully he's got enough fuel to carry on. So Ash Best then has moved up to 2nd position, just under 0.2 of a second behind Lewis, as Lewis comes out of the pits then to start his final runs. And will probably be going low on fuel because he hasn't got enough time really for 2 runs. There's a blizzard. It's on that lap as well. Who else is out there? Game of the Best. Let's have a look at the championship leader. He is definitely, and the back end of that Williams kicks out just a little bit. And now they goes through the first section. No indication whether that was faster or not. Might have to call out some invalidations, Matt, if you see them. But for the time being, I think Gamer carries on. Big C currently only 12th position. The race winner from Australia had a real torrid time in China, although he did give us some great entertainment in the midfield, didn't he, Matt, when he was just holding up virtually half the field for a few laps.
Yeah, some stellar defending on pretty old tires.
So, for those of you in the chat, as we entered the last part of qualifying, let us know what your favourite British Grand Prix moments are in real life, and maybe PSGL as well, for those of you who watch my streams regularly. As Game of the Best heads onto the hangar straight up to Stowe. Nick Pine has ended his session. In fact, 5 drivers have ended the session. Cliffy will start from the back of the grid in 19th. No time for him. So let's see what Game of the Best can do as he heads for the line. But he will get time for one more run if he's got the fuel. Through the veil he goes then. I mean, Williams drivers, especially F4 yesterday, have been performing pretty well, unlike real life. But here comes Game of the Best. Over the line he goes. And it's pole position. 1:36.496. Ash Best. I don't know what's happened to Ash Best, as he might have crashed somewhere, but Ash Best's session is over. So he will not improve from 3rd position. But yeah, apparently Ash Best just had enough of the session and was satisfied with his top 10. So he didn't crash, he just retired, but couldn't be bothered doing it in the pit. So they'll have to recover that McLaren. Hopefully he'll be there for the race. So let's go on board then, Lewis, the reigning champion. He had a spluttering start in Australia. Lickerbox finishes his session, currently in 9th position. He had a spluttering start to his session. KB Killer goes 3rd for Toro Rosso. Just want to see where Blizzard is. If he's further up the road than Lewis. No, he's not. So let's go back to Lewis. Into Maggots and Beckett's he goes. And look at the speed. He's taking through that corner, Matt. That was incredible control from Lewis to keep that going. So that looks like a dry setup to me, because that did not look like it was planted, but he managed to control it, but that may give him the extra time and speed he needs. Low on fuel though, Oh, this could be very nip and tuck as MichEmery sets a 1:36.469 just ahead of Game with the Best. Look how close this qualifying session is. Can Lewis find a little bit more time to put that Ferrari into the prime position for this British Grand Prix? Over the line goes Lewis, and what is it? It is 0.3 of a second faster than MichEmery.
Wow.
So he's currently in pole position. And Game of the Best is done, so he will not be able to respond.
Here comes Blizzard.
So Blizzard heading for the line then. What is Blizzard going to do? And he did improve, but not enough to break into the top 5. Is there anyone else out there? CCBRAIN has gone over the line. And that is it for his session. Is there anyone else? Sambamkid is out there. Is he on an in-lap? No, he's back into the pit. So that is it for your qualifying session. So Lewis, MichEmery and Game of the Best, your top 3. And Lewis with an absolutely brilliant time right at the end of 1:36.167. The rain was easing off and he timed that to perfection. And almost the same shot we got last week at the end of the session with the two Williams returning to the pits. So we just need to wait for them to retire and we will be done here for qualifying. Wow. So, what are your impressions of that? Matt, anyone do you think out of position at the moment?
The only one really out of position I see is Oogie. He retired early and he'll be starting from the back. Then you got the birthday boy Cliffy starting last. So.
Yeah, alternate strategy for Oogie Azim. And yes, a happy birthday to Tony, aka Cliffy. Let's see if what he can do on his birthday today. Imagine if he gets a win. He'll be showered in cake and champagne in the pit lane if he does that. So we will have a look at our top 10 for this qualifying session. So Lewis, the reigning champion, takes pole position for Ferrari. MichEmery in second. Game of the Best in third. KB Killer in fourth. Ash Best in fifth. Not quite impressing in the rain as I thought he would, but still in the top 5. Blizzard in sixth. MaxiLuca in seventh. CCBRAIN in eighth. AMS and Big C making up row 5. QPRbeasts and Lickle making up row 6. And Sambamkid, Abiodun, Cherry2Pie, Nick Pine, CSR Leon, and then at the back of the grid for our 19 out of 20 runners, Oogie Azim and birthday boy Cliffy for Renault, the only driver who didn't set a time. Right, well, we'll get our loading screen then for Silverstone. Well, judging by the times we've seen, I think it's going to be a dry race, but we're about to find out. What will the weatherman give us? And yes, bright, glorious sunshine here at Silverstone, which is not like the weather we're currently getting in Britain, to be fair, but we're going to get a dry race. And this really makes the tyre strategies very intriguing. You know, do you think some of the drivers will start on the mediums and then look to finish on the softs so they have the best tyres? Or do you think they'll go aggressive on the softs, Matt?
I think the top 6 or 7 will start in the softs, and I think everybody behind them will be on the mediums. And maybe some hards, like down toward 15, 16.
Yes, I'd have to agree with you with that. I think those near the top end of the grid will be going for the more aggressive strategy. So the British Grand Prix, well, it's always one of my favourite races to commentate on. It's always some great action here. And in terms of the pit stop strategy, it's going to be a one stop unless you get damage early on or later on in the race. Because quite frankly, if you are on a 2-stop in a full dry race, you're going to be absolutely nowhere, because this is the longest pit stop of any race on the calendar this season. Best part of 40 seconds here at Silverstone as we go on the formation lap, and one of the Toro Rosso is running wide. So let's have a look at the tyre choices then. And Matt, if you can run us through the tyre choices for the top 10.
All right, so we got Louis and MichEmery starting on the softs. Gamer with the alternate strategy starting third with the mediums. And then you got 4th through 8th on the softs as well. AMS also in the top 10 with the mediums, looking to go a little longer. And Big C round out the top 10 on softs. Yes,
and outside the top 10, a bit more of a mix. We've got QPRbeasts on the mediums and then Sambamkid on the mediums, splitting liquid blocks on the softs. And then Abiodun on the softs in 14th. And then Cherry2Pie, Nick Pine up next on the mediums. And then CSR Leon, the only other soft runner outside the top 10. And then mediums for Oogie Azim and Cliffy. So I would be very surprised if we see anybody using the hards in this race, frankly. You know, as long as your tyre wear is decent, you should comfortably be able to get these softs fairly deep into the race, because everyone has fresh tyres, don't forget. So no tyre wear from qualifying. So that should make that strategy even easier to pull off. But given that everyone's got fresh tyres at the start, I think this opening stint could be absolutely epic, especially between the top two. Game of the Best may be compromised for the opening few laps, but the mediums will come back to him and he will be absolutely lightning at the end of the race as long as he stays out of trouble. But Lewis is in the prime position. So often last season he got pole position and he ran away the race. That is why he won the championship in the end. As the grid then heads for the start-finish line from the Vale and Club Corner. And well, look at the grandstands. It's a glorious day out here in Northamptonshire. This track, as I mentioned earlier, built on the site of an old RAF airfield. We've been racing here since 1950, and there's been many classic races here in real life and in the virtual world of Formula 1 racing. And the tension builds. What must Lewis be thinking? This could be the race where he really ignites his bid to retain the championship. No one has successfully defended the championship since F1 2016. That's how long ago and how competitive it's been. So where are these 5 red lights? Still waiting. There's a yellow. And here we go then. Finally get the screen up. 5 red lights then. Lights out and away we go. It's a good start from Lewis, but MichEmery has made a just as good start, and they're going to go side by side through the first corner. And is there any contact in the back? No, but Lewis will retain the lead rather of this race. MichEmery just behind. KB Killer up second. Gamer has been swamped at the start. He's down to 5th position already. You know, the mediums are not great traction off the line, and he's now being under attack from Blizzard just behind. So let's have a look. Yep, side by side goes Blizzard and Game of the Best. And look at that, MichEmery up ahead, attacking Lewis for the lead of the race. Just want to keep an eye on Blizzard, and then we will go straight back to the front. Because Lewis having to fend off MichEmery, because there's action all over the place immediately. So Lewis and MichEmery's pace very, very similar indeed. As they go flying down the old start-finish straight. I'm going to keep the spectator menu off for the time being, just to have a look at this battle. Look at this, MichEmery getting a brilliant exit out of Cops, and he's going to put Lewis under pressure immediately. No DRS yet until the 3rd lap of this race. Well, what a clean start from everybody that was, Matt.
Oh, for sure. Even in the back here, everyone's single file, couple passes here and there, and no contact yet.
Well, Lewis going highly defensive straight away. MichEmery looking for a little gap, but it wasn't there. He's going to try and go around the outside. KB Killer keeping a watching brief just behind. Game of the Best has sort of settled a little bit, and he's just behind Ash Best. And MichEmery trying to go around the outside ahead of us, and he has taken the lead. Can Lewis come back at him? Wow, what a start this has been. And they're going side by side as we cross the line for the first time. Lewis has a bit more straight line speed, but they're going to go side by side through turn 1. But MichEmery's going to try and brave it out on the inside. And and Lewis has gone off. He's been run out of road, and he's losing place after place.
Oh, wow.
And Lewis rejoins the track, and he swipes into Gamer. Gamer spins. The reigning champion has been swiped by Lewis, rejoining the track. That was not that safe. That could have been lag, of course, but Game of the Best has dropped down to 12th position. Oh my goodness. Dramatic stuff here at Silverstone. But that looked like an unsafe return to the track by Lewis, and I have to be brutally honest, but we'll have to let the stewards sort out if indeed that wasn't lag. But KB Killer in all this has taken the lead of the race, and Ash Best now putting MichEmery under pressure with Lewis just behind. Well, they're going almost 3 wide into Cops. Oh, we're going to have to breathe at some point. But Ash Best is now challenging MichEmery as we fly into Maggots and Beckett's for the 2nd time. Game the Best will have to regain his composure. He's still on the mediums, and he can still go deep into the race, assuming he hasn't got damage. But Ash Best not getting the best sexy out of Chapel, actually, compared to MichEmery ahead. And now that puts him under pressure from the 2 cars behind, and that's CCBRAIN and Lewis. Can Lewis make a move? Onto Ash Best. No, he cannot for the time being. But what a dramatic start. I don't know what you saw of that incident between Gamer and Lewis. What was your impression of it? Lewis went off the track, then rejoins, and maybe just got Gamer unsighted when he rejoined.
I didn't get to see any of that. I was ironically on his teammate Sambam, who made a double overtake in one of the corners when Cherry2Pie and AMS made a little contact. Sambam took both positions.
Wow. Double overtake from Sam, but unfortunately further downfield. We have to keep an eye on the leaders if we can. So let's have a quick look. Who are the winners and losers then? As we, well, Game of the Best, certainly one of the bigger losers in terms of positions dropped. So let's have a look then. Yeah, he's lost 9 positions, by far the biggest loser. So Blizzard having a look at CCBRAIN up ahead, but look at this. Wow, there is no one with more than a second gap in the top 11. That is incredible, and with the DRS activated, I think we're about to see more overtakes, or at least some attempts to overtake, as KBKiller, the surprise leader early on in this British Grand Prix for Toro Rosso, his teammate Blizzard in 6th position, who finished 2nd, and he picks up a time penalty for going wide at Cops. Wow, don't often see that, but that's really early to get a penalty, so Blizzard will be absolutely kicking himself for that. Don't want to get a penalty that early in the race, because that really compromises you for the rest of the race, given how close this grid appears to be. And here comes MichEmery trying to put the moves on KBKiller. KBKiller making a late defense to the inside, and he successfully holds him off. KBKiller running wide, but I think he was sort of ahead already, so I don't think that would be deemed as gaining an advantage to retain the place. So MichEmery trying to make the moves on KBKiller. They're edging slightly away from Ashbest and Lewis behind. 8 tenths of a second between 2nd and 3rd. Through Abby, they go for the 4th time. But KBKiller doing a decent job of defending so far, Matt.
Yeah, for sure. Keeping it clean and keeping the car on the track is always good.
Absolutely.
Ooh, Leon has pit and he's gone to the hards.
Leon has indeed pitted and gone on to the as a hards. You are absolutely right. So that's an interesting change. Although he's 45 seconds. MichEmery then looking for a move on the Toro Rosso, but he can't get past at the moment. And meanwhile, behind Ashbest and Lewis just keep watching brief. Lewis not really able to challenge Ashbest, because Ashbest, of course, is getting the DRS and the toe of the car ahead. So until this field starts to break up a little bit, we may not see too many overtakes, except for the top 2, of course. MichEmery then looking for a move into Cops, but that's never going to happen. Nowhere near close enough. But KBKiller doing a fantastic job so far to maintain this lead. But MichEmery seems to be a bit more confident for the time being. But actually, MichEmery getting caught in the dirty air a little bit. He's dropped back a little bit from Toro Rosso, but look at the overspeed he's got, and KBKiller's going to have to defend again, and he once again moves to the inside quite late, but he does get the job done fairly, in my opinion. So MichEmery trying to come back down the inside into the Vale. It's gone very late on the brakes, but KBKiller will have the advantage off the inside through the Vale, then through Club Corner, and he maintains the lead. But MichEmery is putting under enormous pressure. He's got so much more speed in terms of straight line speed. So KBKiller's car appears to be a bit more steady through the corners, but MichEmery's straight line speed compared to Toro Rosso is absolutely fantastic. Look how close the rest of the top 5 are behind, and Blizzard has actually passed CCBRAIN for 5th place. So all of these drivers are in contention for the race win. We've got so long to go. And MichEmery now attempting for a move around the outside then, as we head into Lovefield, but no, KBKiller with the inside covers him off, but watch out for Ashbest. He may make a move, but no, MichEmery covering him off for the time being. My goodness, Matt, this is shaping up to be an absolute classic if it carries on like this.
Oh, for sure. It's going to be exciting to see how long they stay this close together. I know the pits will string them out a little bit, but it should be an exciting ending. Yeah,
absolutely. And MichEmery going, well, virtually a mile wide, almost in another county when he were right at Cops, but recovered it just another, a few more time penalties being picked up. Big C has moved up ahead of CCBRAIN into 6th place, so he sort of recovered from that wet qualifying, which was, by his own admission, he's not that great in the wet. And MichEmery then looking for a move at Stowe, but KBKiller again has brilliant traction on the corners, and that's really what's keeping him ahead, because in terms of straight line speed, MichEmery definitely has less downforce. But KBKiller showing brilliant control out of the corners to keep ahead. And now look, a great drive off that line. So MichEmery's going to have to try again. So we're on lap 6 then of the British Grand Prix. And well, let's have a look at the gap between the leader. There is only 3.6 seconds gap between the top 10. 14.5 seconds between the top 18. That is a tight grid. And Nick Pine picks up a 3-second time penalty. I'm really sorry to the midfield. I've just not been able to have a look at any of them so far because there's been so much action at the front. I mean, it's a leader from the train. We're going to keep a ball of Ashbest. MichEmery not able to challenge this time. And Ashbest actually drifting a little bit deep into the corner. That's not going to allow Lewis to get close to him. So it really is one of those times, really, if you make any sort of mistake, you're going to lose probably 5 or 6 places at least. But Gaming the Best, Not sure if he has. If you could just have a quick look at Game of the Best, does he have any wing damage after that contact earlier with Lewis? I'll get back to you in a few moments. So go through Maggots and Baggots then for the 6th time. And actually KB Killer starting to edge away a little bit from the Red Bull driver. Let's have a look at the telemetry. Battery fairly even. MichEmery puts the overtake on, but I think that's to actually defend from the car behind, not to attempt to move from KB Killer, because he wasn't close this time. And well, KB Killer and MichEmery taking a wider line so they can get better entry into the Vale. And actually that allows MichEmery to get really close to the Toro Rosso again. And more penalties, surprising amount of penalties. And Lewis W03 then pits then. And it's only lap 7, so that's quite early. Just want to have a look at Lewis, see what tyres he's gone on. So then the reigning champion pits. And it's the hard compound. It is the hard compound for Lewis. I'm really surprised by that. Let's go straight back to the front, see what's going on there. MichEmery then looking for a move on KB Killer, but again he's not close enough. But on the hards, the undercut will be quite difficult. But Lewis, you know, it's one of the fastest drivers on the grid, so if anyone can make this work, it will be him. But in terms of, you know, he will have the advantage of better tyre at the end because the hards go longer, but the mediums are the quicker race tyre. As long as you don't take too much out of them in the opening few laps, and the hards do take it slightly longer to warm up than the mediums, so making the undercut. Oh, and nearly side by side, Maggots and Baggots was Asbest and Blizzard. Well, I think this is a closer battle, to be honest. Blizzard getting a brilliant exit out of Chapel, but again, Asbest is safe at the moment because he keeps getting DRS from MichEmery. And MichEmery then getting a poor exit out of Stowe. And Asbest and MichEmery then pit. So it's a Toro Rosso 1-2 for the time being here at Silverstone as Big C continues his pursuit of the Toro Rosso driver ahead. So that gives KB Killer a little bit of room for the time being. So let's have a look at Asbest as they've both pitted. Here we go then. Red Bull versus McLaren. Who's going to get out first? Can Asbest get out ahead of MichEmery in the pit lane? It looks like a wing change is being prepared for AMS. Oh dear. So AMS, it's a wing change. He's picked up damage, unfortunately. He did 7 laps on the mediums. He was one of the drivers who tried the alternate strategy, but it's not worked for him at all. And he's pitted. So we're going to go straight back out. So Blizzard then is out of DRS range of his teammate, which means he could potentially be vulnerable. From the 5-time PSGL F1 British Grand Prix race winner, Big C, under attack. And actually, look at that, Big C saved a little bit of battery in those last few corners, and now he's put it back up to mode 3, and I think he's preparing for an attack. QPRbeasts picks up a 3-second time penalty at Cox, who must have gone wide, because he's just behind these guys. The Game of the Best sort of quietly going about his business. He is currently in 9th position. So Matt, did Gamer have any wing damage?
No, there appear to be no wing damage that I can see.
Yeah, but going off Maya ruined his tyres a little bit. And Big C trying to go right around the outside of Blizzard, but he's gone wide. And it's behind CCBRAIN pits. But Blizzard losing quite a bit of time with doing all this defending. KB Killer's now got a 2-second advantage. Now, in terms of those who have pitted earlier, Lewis is actually leapfrog ahead of Asbest. So he's now between MichEmery and Lewis. So I might have a quick look at that battle, because that could be a key battle later on in this race. So let's have a look at Lewis and MichEmery. They've obviously pitted. It's going to be interesting to see where these guys come out. Liquor Block, CCBRAIN and MaxiLuca pit as well. So this could be a crucial moment in the race. MichEmery is going to have to try and defend from Lewis W03. So here we go then. Through the opening corner. There you go. And heading towards the loop. But yeah, there's more. I mean, these guys were pushing so hard early on in the stint, so maybe they had no choice but to go for the hards. Maybe valuing, you know, the track position these tyres will get them, because it is surprisingly a hard track to overtake here. And Lewis then, as I say that, goes down for a move on MichEmery. Can MichEmery come back in? No, he can't. Brilliant move from Lewis. MichEmery's got just a sniff, maybe come back. No, he has not. So Lewis, because he had those tyres warmed up as he pitted before MichEmery, he has taken the position from Lewis, and this is effectively the net lead of the race at the moment. So we'll go back towards, actually we're going to stick with this battle for the time being. MichEmery trying to pursue Lewis as they go for Maggers and Beggars again. As Blizzard then pits from second place. And Big C pits as well. So Lewis having to cover off MichEmery. MichEmery's going to try and fly around the outside at Stowe. Can he get the car slowed down? This is very reminiscent of season 18. That battle between the Renault and the Red Bull. Where is Lewis? Don't see him at all actually. No, Lewis has had to concede the position. So MichEmery retakes the position. But where's Big C going to come out? Has this battle slowed them down at all? So where is the traffic? This could be really close, and it is very close. Blizzard has come out right between MichEmery and Lewis, and Big C, I think, has he come out? No, he's come out behind CCBRAIN and Ash Best. So Big C has actually lost out a little bit there because he was ahead of CCBRAIN earlier on. So 12 seconds between 10th and 9th, so all the cars ahead have not pitted, but KB Killer's on 9 laps on those softs, so he's looked after his tyres really well, and that's despite the fact he has really, you know, been under attack for most of the first stint. It wasn't really until Lewis pitted where he wasn't under pressure anymore, and MichEmery as well, of course. So Blizzard's just come out, and that's a fantastic camera view that is. So these three could be about to get a bit dicey up into Stowe as we go on lap 10 of the race. Well, lap 10 already. This race is absolutely flown by. And the race leader pitting then. Have these guys been able to undercut KB Killer at all? This game of the best carries on for the time being. And up ahead, MichEmery trying to defend from Blizzard. But yeah, Blizzard didn't have enough of a run on the outside to get past him. But they're getting so close. Will he try to go to the outside? No, he will not. He did not have the room to do that. And they're rounding the final corner, and we will keep on board these two because KB Killer is exiting the pit lane, but will he be able to exit still in the lead? But look at this, side by side through the opening corner. That's a terrible camera view. Where is KB Killer? There's KB Killer. So KB Killer's not been undercut, and he's still in the net lead of this race. So KB Killer. So in effect, it's a Toro Rosso 1-2 for the time being. As Lewis desperately tries to look for a move on MichEmery up ahead, but they've all got DRS. But yeah, KB Killer in effect has maintained that 1.5 second gap he had to Blizzard. But KB Killer's got to get those tyres warm as quickly as possible. He's on the mediums as well, as is Blizzard. So in terms of tyre advantage, Blizzard and KB Killer for the Toro Rosso team could well be. In fact, Blizzard though picks up, he's now got 6 seconds of penalties. It's a uncharacteristically sloppy race from Blizzard when you compare, you know, the way he drove last week in China. As MichEmery picks up a time penalty as well. Well, Maggers and Beckett is really giving these drivers problems. And I want to look behind because Big C and Ash Best seem to be having a bit of trouble. And 2 McLarens going side by side into Stowe, or was that team orders? I'm not sure. Big C on the fast compound, maybe it was a no contest anyway, so Big C going longer than Ash Best. He's now in 13th position. So is there anything else going on? I'm going to have a quick look at the front because Cliffy is very close to the back of Gaming the Best. So it's a Williams and then 2 Renaults in the top 2 as Lickleblock sets the fastest lap of the race on the hard compound. 1:29.957, so a good effort. I think we'll see faster laps than that as the race goes on. As we've got yellows in sector 2. So let's go back behind them.
Leon's very slow.
Who's going slow?
Leon in the last. He must have gone off.
Wow. Leon's had a bit of a nightmare race. He pitted very early on, but you might have had wing damage. He's now 27 seconds behind AMS, so he's having an absolute nightmare for Sauber. And Sauber in general not having a great race so far. 17th and 19th for them.
Yep. He comes in for a wing change. Now he's missing his left wing.
Yeah, absolutely. But, you know, the strategies are still playing out here. But at the moment, KB Killer with a 1.4 second advantage to his teammate. No, still, I mean, they're a long way down the road, actually. So can MichEmery get past Blizzard to move into what would be, for the time being, a net second position. So for those of you watching so far, let us know who you think is going to win the race from here. At the moment it's looking good for KB Killer, but don't forget, those medium runners up ahead, they've got to pit, and they'll be pitting for the soft, so they will be the fastest cars on track at the end of the race. Although I do feel the chance of Gamer getting on the podium massively compromised by that spin early on in the race, which, assuming it wasn't lag, could be quite controversial when it goes to the stewards. So we got sort of two mini battles here. We've got Blizzard, MichEmery, Lewis, and behind we've got Big C, cticeBRAIN and Qprbeasts987. But no changes of position as they head into Luffield for the 13th time. Yellows in Sector 2. So we're at half distance then for this PSGL F1 British Grand Prix. And well, the one thing that could spice this up in terms of the strategies that are still playing out at the moment is a safety car. If a safety car happened right now, my goodness, that would explode this race into even more life. But there's so much battling going on. Oh no! Oh goodness me, that was a racing incident, but Lewis had nowhere to go. Oh, and MichEmery's been collected by MaxiLuca. Oh, they're both out of the race. Oh goodness me, we'll see their wreckage, but wow, MichEmery misjudging Blizzard ahead, who could have got it wrong there, and then MichEmery spun by Lewis, who had nowhere to go, and then as MichEmery tries to recover, MaxiLuca collecting MichEmery, and they're both out of the race. I don't think anyone's to blame for that, unfortunately. Just a few miscalculations, but what an incident that was, and Leon has decided to call it a day. But yeah, that was quite the incident, Matt.
Sure was. I caught the very end of it. Louis in for fresh tires after his slide, and he's getting annoying as well.
Yeah, well, that is 3 retirements out of the race in the space of 30 seconds. And still no safety car, despite the fact there's 2 cars in the middle, Maggots and Beggarts. Well, yeah, I think 1.10 has retired the safety car, unfortunately. So this is just a battle in the top 6. Sambamkid trying to defend for Nick Pine. Yellows in Sector 1. That could be Leon's car coming back out of the pits. And Lewis has pitted for a new wing. So as it stands, it's been a nightmare race for Ferrari. Lewis, you know, there was just nothing he could do about that. I mean, he was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. MichEmery caught out by Blizzard, sort of getting Maggots wrong. He slammed into him, and then Lewis just had nowhere to go, and then collected him, and that was it. So Lewis, the reigning champion, is going to be really struggling to score points, but he'll be on mediums to the end, so at least he gets off those hard tyres, so he may have some chances of points still. So at the moment, it's looking absolutely fantastic for the Toro Rosso team. KB Killer and Blizzard in 8th and 9th position. I'm going to switch my attention to Big C and cticeBRAIN, who are looking very close, Matt, right now.
Yes, they are. Big C is chasing down cticeBRAIN, trying to get into points.
Qprbeasts just got it all wrong in the first corner, and I just saw him out of shot, just going completely off the circuit, and he's just lost 5 seconds of time. He must have run a bit too much ballast maybe, but he has lost several places and 5 seconds of time as well. Lickle moves up to 12th position, but oh goodness me. Well, Qprbeasts, it's not been a vintage season for him so far, but let's not forget, he started off fairly slow in the F1 2017 era, then he really came on his own the following season, so maybe that could be the case again. So certainly not worth giving up at this point. He still could be on for some good points as Big C attempts to attack, and Qprbeasts987 pits from 3rd position, so that will promote some of the drivers behind. So Big C really got to get a move on and get past cticeBRAIN if he's going to be in the fight for a podium, which, given what's happened to Lewis and MichEmery, he's really got a chance of getting on the podium, and, you know, hitting back after his race in China last week really didn't go well for him, and he passes cticeBRAIN with a fairly routine move. So Cherry2Pie and Qprbeasts987 pitting. Nick Pine does as well. So Oogie Azim up to 4th position. KB Killer up to 5th.
Cliffy takes the lead.
Indeed, Cliffy does take the lead. fighting with Cliffy, game with the best. I suspect these two drivers were pitting. I think we're going to stick with these two for the time being. We're just watching CCBRAIN and Big C, so apologies for missing that overtaking manoeuvre. Game with the best, trying to come back at Cliffy now. So because of those retirements to MichEmery and the problems Lewis has had, Game with the best may yet recover some points here. So Qprbeasts and Cherry2Pie, they've come out in 11th and 12th position respectively, and Nick Pine in 13th. So they've got the fastest compound to the end of the race, but they've got some work to do as Lewis sets a blistering pace on the fast lap. But getting into the points looks impossible without safety car. And here we go then. They both pit. Cliffy, game of the best. So we're going to follow them in. Will Sambam follow in? Well, surely Sambam's going to have to carry on. Yes, indeed he does. Ugizim just behind him. Just going to see what Gamer goes on in terms of tires. Indeed, has he got a wing change? And it looks like there's a Red Bull coming in as well. And that must be Ugizim just behind. So what tyres? Must be for the soft compound. And it is. So it's looking really good for KB Killer at the moment. KB Killer rounding the final corner. He's outpacing his teammate. Simply put, he's been the class of the Toro Rosso. Quite a turnaround from last week where Blizzard was clearly the fastest of the two Toro Rosso drivers. And they're in net first and second. Big C in third. But Game of the Best and Cliffy coming out of the pit lane. And we're trying to get ahead of Qprbeasts, hopefully. So let's see where they fed out. So Cliffy, Game of the Best and Qprbeasts coming out just behind Ash Best in 7th place. So Game of the Best, so Ash Best and Liquid Blocks may not have a prayer of defending against the soft runners who are going to be on the rampage for the last part of this race. But for these guys, 4th might be the best maybe that they can get from this race. Sambam, of course, is going to be pitting. So not much of a battle going on between the top 3 at the moment. It's quite spread out between the 3. CCBRAIN still trying to pursue Big C.
Oh, wow.
Lewis gets a 10-second time penalty for cutting.
For crashing.
Oh, dear. What's happened to Lewis? He's had a moment at turn 1, and is the Ferrari driver going to call it a day? He's had a nightmare day. It looked so promising for him earlier on with that pole position. But that incident at MaxiLucaGT5 is just really curtailing his progress, and he's had enough. He's had enough. The brakes have failed completely, and that's his 4th retirement of the race. As these two cars go into battle, Lickle and Ash Best. No love lost between these two. Ash Best trying to get into 6th position. And Lewis leaves the session, and he'll have to go back to the drawing board. And Sambam pits in.
Oh, so virtual safety car.
It's a virtual safety car, which doesn't really change anything, to be honest.
Well, Sambam just pit, so slow guys down so he doesn't lose as much time.
Yeah, it will favour Sambam, but maybe a few seconds too soon. But yeah, it's not really going to change the strategic situation overall, but it will allow Sambam to get a bit closer in the top 10. And I think we're going, we're going racing again. So really, I think, and it looks like Big C has gained a lot of time in that virtual safety car. He's now within DRS range of Blizzard, so the battle for second could well be on, because it looks like KB Killer has got the victory in the bag. 3.6 seconds ahead of his teammate. It's been an absolutely fantastic run from KB Killer today. Qualifying was really good as well. He's gained 3 places from the start. It's been lots of gains in the top 4. 3 places from the start. He's now in the lead. 4 places for Blizzard. So this has been a magnificent day for Toro Rosso.
One thing to keep an eye on is KB has a penalty and Big C doesn't. So Big C could get within the 3 seconds.
Yes, yes, well remembered actually. So Lickle blocks, and look at that, Cliffy diving down the inside of Lickle, and we're going to go on board with Game of the Best. Game of the Best can still recover some good points here today. Cliffy going around the outside of Lickle, and surely with the superior tyres that Cliffy has, he's going to get this move done. Lickle trying to get back at him. Lickle doesn't want to do some sort of crazy move into the first corner. He's still on for some good points, but Gamer just behind. Can he find a gap? Yes, he goes for the inside. Will he get slowed down? Oh, wheel contact from the Sauber and the Williams. As Ash Best having passed Lickle and Game of the Best. Look how better that traction was. As we go on board with Cliffy, switch the HUD off for a second so we can get the best view. look at that. Cliffy around the outside. Look how much better the traction on those softs are. Fantastic. And Game of the Best is going to come through as well. Ash Best is going to fight this with all his might, but it's going to be a losing battle. He just doesn't have the traction on those hard tyres. And Game of the Best will move up to 6th position. And there's still cars ahead with penalties, so Cliffy and Game of the Best can at the very least chase down CCBRAIN and Big C in the closing laps of this race. Well, this is going to heat up very nicely. I think KB Killer, assuming he doesn't lose control of the car somewhere, I think he's safe for the race win, unless Big C can get past Blizzard. But, you know, keep an eye on KB. If he picks up another time penalty, it will swing it back into Big C's favour for the time being. Game of the Best then, trying to get back past Cliffy, who overtook him when they were both on the mediums. So that it's not over, but look at that. They are rapidly catching CCBRAIN. CCBRAIN's out of DRS range of Big C now. But what an enthralling race it's been. And look at this behind, and Ash Best spins behind. Oh, and again, he was battling hard with Lickle and Qprbeasts, but Ash Best drops out of the top 10. And Cherry2Pie trying to get past Sambamkid. There's action going on everywhere. We're going to go straight back to the Game of the Best because he looks like he's going to go on the attack on the Renault. But Ash Best just can't catch a break at the moment. It looked like 3 cars, Matt, went into the final corner together, and then one of them came off very worse, and that was the McLaren driver, who's now outside the top 10 and may not be scoring points, while his teammate is fighting potentially for the race win. So not a good day for Ash Best so far, Matt.
No, when I was watching him in practice earlier, he was actually having trouble by himself spinning off of that corner as well. So not a very good corner for him. Maybe
running a little bit too much ballast, but look at this. Cliffy and Game of the Best took half a second out of CCBRAIN in the first 2 sectors alone. So CCBRAIN's going to be looking over his shoulder. Let's just get the tyres back up just to remind everybody what tyres everybody's on. To the top 4 on the medium compounds. They've done, apart from KB, they've done over 10 laps on these tyres. Cliffy, Game of the Best on fresh soft tyres. They'll be easily going to the end on these. Qprbeasts in a solid 7th position at the moment, but under pressure all the time from Lickle blocks. But this is pretty much the closest battle on the track at the moment. Nick Pine is right on the back of Ash Best, who may have really ruined his tyres with that spin. We've had 4 retirements from the 19 who started so far. The main talking point of this race was that incident between Blizzard, Lewis and MichEmery at Maggots and Beckett's, which looked like a racing incident to me, but I suspect at least one of them might report it to the stewards, Matt.
Yeah, I think so. There's been some displeasure placed in the chat, so we'll see about that after the race.
Well, yeah, some disgruntled team radio from Lewis and MichEmery and MaxiLuca, but you know, it's for the stewards to sort out if they choose to report it, so I will not comment on it any further. But look at this now. Cliffy just over a second behind CCBRAIN. We could get a 3 wide situation between these 3. But yeah, we'll mention Qprbeasts again, breaking away from Lickle blocks in a very fine 7th place, which would be his best result of the season so far. But let's go straight back to Game of the Best. These 2 drivers then pursuing the Mercedes of CCBRAIN, who themselves had a very good race so far. Out of Chapel they go, onto the hangar straight. Both cars have DRS, so CCBRAIN very vulnerable now to the attack. And Big C, there's still time for these 2 to catch Big C. So Big C and Blizzard may be looking over their shoulder very shortly. So here we go then. This is the finale of this PSGL F1 British Grand Prix. Lap 22 then. And we've seen some fantastic racing here and a couple of big incidents. But Game of the Best ultimately, despite being spun early on in the race, and we don't know yet if that was a racing incident when Lewis returned to track or lag, but he could still be on for some good points if he can pass a few of these cars. CCBRAIN then, for the first time under direct threat from Cliffy, but I'm not sure if Cliffy's quite close enough to make the move here, so he's probably going to save his battery, although Cliffy actually looks like he's a bit low on fuel, so that may favour Game of the Best. Game of the Best has far more battery, 86% battery. That's impressive management from Game of the Best, Matt.
Oh, for sure. Being in DRS for so long, he wouldn't need to use as much of the battery on his straights.
Yeah. Well, Cliffy, you know, he cannot hesitate. Oh, he picks up a time penalty. So Game of the Best, that will favour him anymore. So at the moment, he's going to get at least 5th. Has CCBRAIN got any penalties, Matt?
I will check that right now.
Thank you.
CC is only free. It's 3 warnings.
Yeah, it's 3 warnings, but it wasn't the best set from Cliffy. So game with the best. Trying to, and Big C is dropping back from Blizzard. He's now 2 seconds. Is he having battery or fuel issues? Because now these 4 are catching up to the McLaren driver. So this is the fight for 3rd place. Because if Big C drops off Blizzard, it's looking like a Toro Rosso 1-2, quite likely. Although don't forget, Blizzard has 6 seconds of penalties, so he may not finish in 2nd place after the final reckoning and everyone's crossed the line. But this is looking like a very tasty 4-way fight for 3rd place on track at least.
I just checked more. Big C does have 1 3-second penalty as well.
Okay, fair enough. So here we go then. Unlike last lap, he's right behind him, and Big C is in DRS with cticeBRAIN as well, so that's going to allow Cliffy to close and cticeBRAIN to defend. But here's Gamer. We'll go back on board with him. Brilliant action right here. And Cliffy is getting stuck behind the Mercedes a little bit, not able to pass because cticeBRAIN has the DRS on the McLaren ahead. Lap 23 then, just under 4 laps of the race to go. So game of the best. He's such an experienced, accomplished racer. Can he time his moments and get onto the podium, which, given the spin he had earlier, would be an absolutely brilliant damage limitation. I don't believe he has any penalties. And Cliffy getting a very poor exit out of Magus and Beggars. And here comes Gamer the best. Can he pass into Stowe? It looks like he's got the advantage. Both DRS. And Cliffy couldn't fight it anymore. And Gamer the best moves up to 5th place. So even when the odds were against him, he's really proven why he is some people's favourite for the championship, even at this early stage, especially with the problems some of his rivals have been having in these races. So Game of the Best up to 5th position. Now he's got to try and attack cticeBRAIN and Big C. Yellow's in sector 3. Cherry2Pie's had an incident somewhere.
Yep.
What happened to Cherry2Pie?
I don't know. When I got on board with him, he was coming up toward the pit straight, coming off the track back on.
Yeah, must have had maybe had an incident out of Stowe. But we weren't going to have a look at that. So Game of the Best and cticeBRAIN trying to have a look at Big C. Oh, it's Game of the Best. Oh, I thought Game of the Best was going to try and go for a double overtake, but the space wasn't there. And cticeBRAIN runs really wide, and Game of the Best will try and take around the outside of Lovefield. They'll then be side by side onto the old start finish straight. Game of the Best barely having the room to keep on the track. He's got the superior traction of those softs, but they're going to go side by side into Cops. Who's going to yield? cticeBRAIN having the advantageous inside line for Cops. The inside is a really horrible place to be at Cops. There's not a lot of traction there. But that gives Big C some breathing space for the time being. Sambamkid picks up a 3-second time penalty, but that shouldn't cost him any places because Ash Best behind has penalties as well. So cticeBRAIN going defensive. So Game of the Best, it's going to have to try and use those softs and throw it around the outside at Stowe. But actually cticeBRAIN defending brilliantly. Magnificent car placement, but he's run wide. Oh, Gamer's been touched, but somehow keeps the car on the track. cticeBRAIN comes back at him. Was that damage from the Mercedes driver, but Gamer of the Best somehow keeping on the track when cticeBRAIN lost control of the car momentarily out of Stowe and hit the side of him. So Gamer of the Best braving it out and moving up to 4th place, and now he's going to have Big C, the 7-time champion, in his sights. This is very reminiscent of season 18. These two were fighting for 3rd place right at the death on the final lap, and it looks like history is about to repeat itself here, Matt.
Oh, for sure. It's great when you see 2 great competitors fighting week after week to maintain position in the point standing.
Yeah, could not agree more. But look at that. Ooh, a lock of the tyres on cticeBRAIN. I think Gamer will rapidly get away from cticeBRAIN. So Cliffy may still have a chance to get past cticeBRAIN on the final lap. Liquor Blocks, despite being on 16-lap-old tyres, is able to keep up with QPRB. So that's impressive pace from him. But yeah, let's go back to Game of the Best. 2 of PSGL's greats about to go into combat for 1.5 laps. Get your popcorn, fasten your seatbelts. This could be an epic final lap. But you know, we haven't seen much of KB Killer, but he is 3.3 seconds, and he has to be a contender for driver of the day. But Game of the Best, I think, is up there for driver of the day as well, given that he was spun early on and dropped down to 12th position at one point, and now he's still in the fight for the podium. But Big C, you will know he will fight to the death for this podium position. And don't forget, there's still Game of the Best could still finish 2nd, because I don't think he has any penalties, does he, Matt?
No, he just has 2 warnings.
Yeah, because Blizzard has 6 seconds for sure. Big C has 3, so Gamer may not even have to pass Big C, but you will know he will want to. And there were yellows at Sector 1. I think that was Cherry2Pie just getting out of the way of Blizzard, actually. So, no, nothing untoward there. So here we go then, Game of the Best. There's a bit more battery. So here we go then, Big C trying to defend against Game of the Best. He's got the inside as they go into left field, and that's beautiful place from Big C. No chance. And Gamer then coming back on the outside, then trying to get the switch back out of left field, but Big C, as you would expect from the most experienced driver on the PSGL F1 grid, placing it beautifully. And look at that, Game of the Best squeezed at the wall, trying to go into cops, but Big C defending with every bit of the car he's got. We're going to have to go back to KB Killer soon because he is approaching the last part of this. Oh, QPRbeast picks up time penalty. That might cost him 7th place, but don't worry about that for the time being. There's actually a back marker ahead, and Big C's actually going to get DRS off it. And that's quite fortunate, but Game of the Best is still going to try and make the move on the last lap. And Game of the Best will go to the inside. And here we go then, KB Killer will round the final corner. And he is going to win the British Grand Prix in PSGL F1. What a bit. And Game of the Best picks up a time penalty. Right at the death. Will that cost him any positions? Big C in second. CCBRAIN is in second place. He had no penalties in the end. Unbelievable.
Wow.
So your top 3 is KB Killer, CCBRAIN and Big C in Game of the Best with that last second penalty. By 0.98 of a second, denied a podium, but still gets 8 points. Oh, but KB Killer, what a performance. What a drive from KB Killer. And so he celebrates, and so he should. What a magnificent British Grand Prix that was. Bravo to all the drivers out there today who finished. A few incidents, yes, but that's what you get sometimes close races like this. And, well, KB Killer, he will be bouncing about his bedroom right now, or wherever he is at the Toro Rosso factory, because what a performance from him today. Wasn't the fastest in qualifying, but his race pace was absolutely immense once he took the lead from MichEmery. He defended from MichEmery successfully. But, you know, CCBRAIN, out of nowhere, he looked like he wasn't going to get a podium. He was getting past left, right and centre, but he gets second place. And Big C, as ever, a fantastic display here at Britain, getting on the podium. So here is your top 10 then for the British Grand Prix. KB Killer taking the victory. CCBRAIN in second. And KB Killer actually picked up a time penalty late on. So CCBRAIN, the only good driver in the top 10 not to get a penalty. Game of the Best in 4th, with Big C in 3rd. Blizzard in 5th. Cliffy in 6th. Liquid Blocks in 7th. QPRbeasts in 8th. And then the final points going to Sambamkid and Ash Best in 10th place. And then outside the top 10, Nick Pine having a few too many penalties to get on the points. Team in 12th, disappointing day for him. AMS in 13th, Cherry2Pie in 14th, and then we had 5 retirements, and very notable retirements. Abiodun, Lewis, MichEmery, MaxiLuca, and CSL Leon. So some really quick drivers who retired in that race. Wow. Well, how about that? Well, your thoughts, Matt, and to those in the chat, let us know who you thought your driver of the day was. But yeah, what were your thoughts on that race, Matt? Absolutely fantastic action.
Oh, absolutely fantastic. I'm not really surprised that KB won the race, because when they did the Race of Champions, he dominated pretty much first 60-70% of that race. So we know he's got really good pace here. But yeah, hell of a drive by a gamer to, you know, keep his composure and march back through the field after the early incident. Yes,
well, despite Game of the Best not finishing on the podium, he does strengthen his position in the championship. So he'll look at Canada and hope for better things. He was caught up in an incident early on. I think he would have been in contention for the race win without that. But yeah, KB Killer, great congratulations to him and the rest of the podium. So a big thank you for everyone who watched the race tonight. I think you'll agree that was very entertaining indeed. And we will see you next week for the Canadian Grand Prix and what should be another fast and furious action from PSGL F1. Thanks for watching and see you next time.